In this video, sponsored by Lancaster Insurance, we're at the Practical Classics Classic Car and Restoration Show in Birmingham, and there are many delights to check out. I mean, for a start, look, you could win an MX-5. It's 30 years of the MX-5, so it's anniversary year, and they've actually got a pair of them here. Look, they've got a yellow Mark II as well. So lots going on, and we shall come back and have a look around this stand a bit later on. So let's prowl around and see what we can see, and it's good news already, because look at this Metro. So this is the Lancaster Insurance pride of ownership. So yeah, check out that engine bay. Come on, Simon, you're gonna have to get your work cut out to match this. I want your Metro's engine bay of my recent test video to look as good as this, please. That'll be good. 19,000 miles on the clock. Look at that. Very tasty indeed. At a different league, here's a Citroen Sm. Note that you got the triple headlights on an SM. The inner pair swivel with the steering, but they all also rotate with the suspension. So you have built-in headlamp leveling because of the super soft suspension. Maserati V6 engine, hydraulic everything. They are utterly magnificent, almost as magnificent as a Montego estate. And I think I've gone on record several times as saying the Montego estate, one of my favourite cars of this era, certainly one of my favourite estates. And it belongs to Tanya Field, who I believe works at the Mini plant, which is where this car would have been built, in Oxford many years ago. Next to it we've got a Starlet GT Turbo, JDM spec. So that's the previous generation Starlet to the one I owned, but with a turbo. Naturally, they didn't sell the Fun Turbo in the UK. That's very orange. Your old Dodge Charger, or is it a Challenger? I'm not very good on my Americana. It is a Challenger RT. I wish I'd been here when that came in. We've got a very racy looking Mini. That's quite smart. Hello, I shall be with you shortly. Rover P5B, the V8 version. Polo bread van. I've never quite understood the bread van. It's like a tiny little estate. And you know what? I am going to look at the Ford Escort Mexico, even though I don't like Fords. It's not that I don't like Fords, I just don't get the hype. I'm not sure about the blistered arches, to be honest. It's a bit much for me. I much prefer that. Look at that. Is that Fiat 128 Coupe? It is. Wow. That is a very bonny looking little thing. You will not see many of those about. Very nice. And behind me here, Bond Minicar. I've got a road test video on one of these if you want to check it out. This is where you've got the engine and the gearbox all attached to the front wheel, and it pivots to enable steering. Mark II camper. It's like a Sambo with all those windows. Very nice. Triumph Herald. A 1360, so that's the last of the Heralds. If we come around to the front, you see you got the slanted headlamp look of the Vitesse, but with only one headlamp on the Herald. A modified Volkswagen Scirocco, that's very of its time, even down to the A plate, just to make it a bit different. Very peculiar. And I quite like this as well, even though it's a Ford. It's a Ford Fiesta Mark I Super Sport. Check out the interior. That's magnificent. And then we got a very clean Rover R8 G plate, so that's quite early. They came out in '89, same year that the G plate came out, and very clean indeed. 216 GSI, and not perfect, which means it gets the Hubnut seal of approval. Just taking the magnificence of the Bond Minicar there. Courtesy car, Wald Porsche in the garage, very good. Look at this AMI. I mean, what a colour. That is pure 1970s glamour right there. Look at it. I've seen this car a few times, and it never fails to disappoint. There you go, AMI 8, a car called Pleasure, which is technically incorrect because AMI means friend. A nice traction Avant. This is the Citroen Car Club stand. We've got a 2CV chassis. I get a lot of queries about the 2CV chassis, so we'll take a look. This is the spring cam, not usually see-through, but there you go. Simon is kindly adding some weight. Thank you, Simon.
And you can see,
so you can see
the canister moving forward.
Yeah, the canister actually moves. I'm not sure the one on early actually moves anymore because the buffers are in terrible condition, but yeah, it moves to preload the rear suspension as the front reacts. It is a magnificent suspension system. And we'll carry on our tour. How's this? This Citroen has a windscreen for passengers in the back, but no wiper, disappointingly. Mind you, there's only one tiddler on the front at all. That's very nice. Look, there's the old temperature gauge. It'll focus. No, apparently it won't focus. Okay, we'll move on. There's a Citroen DS with a big bore exhaust. Nigel Wilde, busy as ever. Good morning. Not quite sure why it's got a big bore exhaust. Here's a Citroen Bijou. This is a British-made 2CV derivative, but they only made about 211 of them because they were rubbish. The body was styled by Peter Kerwan Taylor. He also designed the original Lotus Elise, which had a glass fibre monocoque. And I have driven one. The driving position is awful because your head is right up the top and everything else is far too low. But the biggest problem was they were 425cc and heavier than a standard 2CV. So the acceleration was horrific, absolutely terrible. And I believe the Citroen H van, we've got a CX through there as well. But look what the Renault Owners Club have got. It's a Renault Rodeo. This is a very rare alternative to the Citroen Mahari or Mini Moke sort of style vehicle. Plastic panels on Renault 4 running gear. Absolutely wonderful. I've only seen one and it was in a field and very torn up. I wonder if this one was it. But certainly it doesn't seem too bad today. I like that a lot. I know it was dragged here to the show by this Renault 25 Limousine. So look at that. It's got a stretched section in the back. So fine for all your ministerial purposes. And a very nice Renault Clio as well. I mean, you forget what a nice car the Clio was. I think they're a lovely little car. Given the unenviable task of replacing the Renault 5, although this is a Mark 1 Renault 5. And then we got a very racy looking Twingo, which of course has pantograph wiper. All the microcars have come together behind me here. Very good. We've got Trojans here, little Peel Tridents, and little Peel P50. Ooh, that one's for sale. I bet you don't get many inches to the pound with that one. And look at this. Peel Viking, which I think was mini based. Also made on the Isle of Man. Wow, that's certainly different. I'm not sure I've seen one of those in the plastic before, because it is glass fibre, as you might expect. More Peels as well. How appealing. So that's the original prototype, and then that's more like the final production. They are the most bizarre thing. Maybe one day I'll do a video. But I've just noticed this Audi Coupe over here. There's a rarity. Unbelievably, I remember jumping around on one of these in a friend's garden many years ago. It just sat there, it was off the road, broken, whatever, and we used to play on it. And I look back and cry. Ooh, we got Lancia Gammas. I had a good look around the Gamma at the previous show in November, but just as a reminder, they are utterly bonkers, and there is actually a window so you can see through these slats to improve your visibility. And for my money, I will take the Berlin, the saloon, over the Coupe any day of the week. I never liked the Coupes as much. Flat 4 engine, had a horrible habit of throwing the cam belt if you put it on full lock. Friskies, I always look at Friskies because they're fantastic. Designed by Giovanni Michelotti. We've got Fiat X19s here, Fiat Coupes here. We will go and have a look at that gorgeous russet brown Allegro at some point fairly soon. But first we're going to Fiat land. Gorgeous Fiat 128 here. But obviously most of my excitement is about the Fiat Temperate station wagon. Yes, it is a digital dash version. And one thing I hadn't noticed before this morning, coming over in there and having a chat with Gavin earlier, there is a huge knacker duct in the roof which channels air through the rear spoiler sort of thing to try and keep the rear window clear. It doesn't work. Simcha 1000, there's a couple of those living very near me, and these are 13 or 1501s, later version of the 1500s, and that one a very pretty estate. And then we've got a Simca around, I forgot what it's called, Planciel, is it? I'm trying to work mine if I jump in and have a look. Oh no, the hard top is the Planciel. This is the Ocean convertible, apparently. Oh yes, there's a clue. So yeah, Simca around the running gear, which I think was 1290cc, 4-cylinder. And yeah, here's the 1501 saloon and estate. And I think we saw this car, or one very similar to it, at the Classic Nostalgia at Shelsley Walsh last year. You wind the rear window up and down with that handle. I'm not sure how you lock it. Here's an absolute rarity, Simca 1200 Coupe. So this is the Coupe version of the 1000, and styled by Bertoni, very, very pretty. You will not see many right-hand drive examples, so enjoy that. That is as rare as they get. We've got a Matra Simca Bagheera next to it, and another Bagheera over there with these Morenas. Quite like the Morenas. There's the engine and gearbox out of a Morena by the look of it. If you haven't seen my Morena video, go and check it out because the noise is just awesome, and I don't mean my voice. Got some pimptastic Rover 200 BRMs. These had the variable valve timing 1.8, bright orange BRM style grille, but the best bit is the pimptastic interior. Not that we can really see it through the window, but yeah, proper gentleman's club theme going on. Let's go and see what else we can find in here. So back to the Fiat Motor Club stand, we've got a little Topolino. I mean, this is absolutely tiny. This is the original Fiat 500, and utterly marvellous. There you go, Topolino, Little Mouse. There's a car that really, you know, brought mobility to Italy. Oh, that is very sweet. I like that a lot. Then we've got a Fiat 127 Sport, one of the first hatchbacks, proper little super mini. I love the graphics, they are pure 1970s. And we've got a Fiat Panda Italia 90. Italy hosted the World Cup in 1990 and made these special editions. And yes, they really did come with football wheel trims. Gaffer tape is optional. We've got a very early Beetle here, and a nice, fairly late Beetle convertible as well. I quite like Beetles. I mean, I don't get massively excited about them. Quite like Fiat Coupes as well. I fear I've missed the boat on Fiat Coupes, styled by Pininfarina. Fantastic looking cars, but no longer cheap. Gotta love a barn find. Audi Quattro, earliest registered UK Quattro. That's quite something. Parked opposite a russet brown Allegro estate. I mean, does life get any better than that? Probably not. Boo boo Escort. No, I better not say anything rude about those, or Escort lovers will hunt me down in my sleep. Ford Puma, that is definitely a Ford I definitely like. They are huge fun to drive. I did borrow one once from a friend, never managed to get a video done on it, annoyingly. Sometimes life just doesn't work out how you hope. Triumph Toledo there, sorry, 1300. Oh, making my own mistake. Toledo had straight rear lights and was rear wheel drive. This has bumpy rear lights and is front wheel drive. Yeah, product lines in those years were a bit confusing. Honda Legend Coupe. I would love one of those. And now you know why. Tiny headlamp wipers. And a Fiesta XR2 Mark II. I had a Popular, so I dreamt of having one of those. No, really, I did. Just going to have a wander around here, see what Practical Classics are doing. It's Practical Classics show, and yeah, there's James Walsh's CX. We've got a TR6 American spec there. Danny's Jensen Interceptor, an Escort with some work going on, perhaps. Go and see what's going on. I think their plan is to get this TR6 built over the weekend. That's the plan, isn't it? Get this running. Is that the plan?
Running, driving and MOT ready by Sunday.
Right, okay. So you got your work cut out there, really, because it doesn't have an engine at the moment.
Any rear suspension either.
Right. Well, it's just going to be fun.
Or interior, or body panels, or wiring, or anything else, really.
We shall come back and see how you're getting on with that later on. Oh yes, here is the rear suspension slowly coming together. It's an independent rear suspension on the TR6. You can see the sort of semi-trailing suspension arm there. Short little drive shaft with a sliding coupling and drum brakes, of course, because what more do you need in a 150 brake horsepower sports car? Come and have a look over here. Another SM. That was like TV's Mike Brewer in a bit of a conversation there. Holy crap, look at that. It really is a Montego hearse. I'm in heaven. Oh, man alive, that is beautiful. This must be the Maestro Montego Owners Club stand. Also got extreme barn find going on there. That's excellent mould coverage. Quick pause for the announcement, but yeah, oh, the front end's cleaner. Oh, and crustier. Wow. Complete with a bird's nest for a headlamp. That's the look all the boy racers are going for. Let's have a quick run. We're only running around one hall here, so I'm going to record other halls on other days, I think. More Metros. Lovely MG there. Another MG with the red seat belts. It was like a GTI of the later Rover Metro. So it's the same body shell, but entirely different under the front end. Instead of gearbox in sump, it's an end-on gearbox with a K-series engine. And that Rover Metro evolved into the Rover 100. And there we go, nice shabby beige, very early Metro. X-Reg probably 82. So I mentioned the switchgear was different on the Mark I. And there you go, you got the switchgear kind of down by your knee. Oh, I like the spectacles and the mice. Good work, Metro people. Oh, we shall go and look at those in a moment. And, oh, this looks slightly poverty spec. Is that the one that was at the gathering, I wonder? Oh yes, it was. Look, there's a clue. So this car was at the Hubnut Social we had in Staffordshire. Reminder, we've got another one coming up in April. Let's go and look over here. We've got nice Austin Princess, but really all the glory is all about the Ambassador. Look at that. It's like a Vanden Plas, or Vanden Pla, let's say Pla. There we go, the last off the line. It's good to see this car again because it got sold by the what's now the British Motor Museum at Gaydon, and it just got parked up on someone's driveway and it was in a terrible state. So the club has come together and yeah, done a marvellous job of restoring that car. So well done, Leyland Princess Enthusiast Club. And that colour, man, that is very tasty indeed. We better have a look at some Maxis. Here are some Maxis. One of my more popular videos, the Maxi. Not quite as popular as the Allegro. And we've got the gay classic car group here, which is, I think, more for gay people than gay classic cars. Look at that, Talbot Alpine in beige. I think that's one we've got covered. I'm pretty sure he's got his own YouTube channel. I shall try and find a link to that. But yeah, the Shabby Ital is the last of the Marina line. And this is a Series 2 Marina in gorgeous, gorgeous metallic green. Tara green metallic, I believe that is. Humber Super Snipe as well. Very tasty. Let's go and see what else I've got on here. Oh, I should have known that was yours. It's fantastic.
Got rescued.
Where did you find it?
It was sitting around for about 8 or 9 years. One of the guys in the club saved it, offered it up, no one wanted it, and people started nicking bits off of it.
Oh.
And I sleep over it, and then I bought it.
Excellent. Oh, 1.3 as well for extra misery.
Well, the badge is a bit worn.
Yeah, that's kind of vanished a bit. Lovely. Are you doing anything to it this weekend?
Yeah, it's going to change all the interior, it's got the wrong interior in it.
Yeah.
We are going to give it a good clean, put the bumper back on it, spoiler, got some new dealer number plates.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So, and change the wheel trims because they're wrong.
Rightio. We shall come back and check your progress later on.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. And yeah, there's the back end of the Marina. Beautiful. We've got Peugeot 306. That makes me feel quite old because Peugeot 306 was a car I owned for a very long time, over 2 years. I had a 306 Gt Turbo, and lovely, lovely cars, lovely to drive, lovely suspension, and marvellous cars. And it just makes me old to see one here at Classic Car Meet. And there's a 406 Pininfarina Coupe, Saab 900, with some engine investigations going on. I can tell you want to look at the engine, so let's bring you in for a look. There you go. That is definitely an engine. Crusty 1100 here. Next to the Wolseley version, so that's a Morris. That's the Wolseley version, which gets you a grille and a few more luxuries. And what have we got here? This is an Austin version, which gets you a crinkly grille. And this is a convertible. I've not seen a convertible before. That works quite well, I think. Very nice. So we've just come over to the Sporting Bears, where people can make a donation to charity and have a drive in any of these marvellous vehicles. I quite like the early Ferrari Mondial there. The sensible person. If it was a hubnut Ferrari, I think the 308 Mondial is probably it. Lotus Europa looking very, very low there, and pleased to see a 2CV up the back. So yeah, it's the Sporting Bears. Come and pays your money and you get a passenger ride in one of those lovely cars. Volvo P1800 Coupes. Very nice looking cars, I would say. Volvo 144 here. We've got some traction engines over there as well. More impressive when they're in steam, but I guess health and safety means they probably can't do that. Huge pre-war Volvo there. That's immense. A PV60, I'm guessing. They always have a modern Volvo. I'm not sure why. I mean, why would you even do that? I'm not sure how I feel about that. I quite like the stance. I just think the wheels are a bit too much for my taste. Another Rover BRM. This is the 200 and 400 Owners Club. Slightly shabby convertible there. That's good to see. We've got another Rover convertible there, a P6 convertible. And that takes some doing because the roof, not the panel, but the structure is very important on those. Now here is some headlamp wiper loveliness. Look at that. So on these, the blade goes up and down. Most people have been more interested in the fact it's a Saab 99 Turbo, and they have quite a cachet, but I'm all about the headlamp wipers. And amazing seats in the 99 Turbo. I'll be coming back over here later because I have friends on this stand, but they're obviously off looking at the show. There's a Saab Sonett.
Your attention, please.
Right, now we know the driver has been told off for parking in the right place. Let's try and have another look at the Saab Sonett. So this was their sports car, originally 2-stroke, but like the 96 and 95 Saloon and Estate, they upgraded them to V4 power. The late ones, I think that's a V4. And there is a Saab 95 with a rear wiper. Now, technically the rear wiper shouldn't be necessary because like the Fiat Temperate, it was always designed to have air channeled down, which should keep the rear window clear. That would suggest it doesn't do a very good job. Something a bit different, let's have a look at a Ford Model T. I have driven one of these and they are the most bizarre thing to drive because you've got the throttle and the ignition retard, not column stalk, so don't do your wipers and indicators. So you accelerate with a hand throttle, I think it's that side, it's a while since I've driven one. And then you've got the 3 pedals, and the 3 pedals all do completely different things. The brake is the right hand pedal, the middle one puts it in reverse, and the other pedal you use to change gear in combination with this lever, which is also the handbrake and helps you select the 2 gears it has. They are very, very strange to drive indeed. This looks like a Riley Kestrel, I think. Very funky British pre-war design, and in typical fashion only one of the wipers is powered, this passenger one, so there's a link bar to make sure the other one works as well. What have we got here? Skoda's a Skoda Felicia, so not their first use of the name, the one you're thinking of. That was the first one, which is actually an Octavia convertible. They called the Felicia. Got a lovely Skoda Rapid here, so of course rear engine on the Rapid, very similar to the engine in the Favourite. The earlier versions, I'm not sure if this has it or not, had a cast iron cylinder head on an aluminium block. Always found that a bit peculiar. We've got another shabby Montego estate. I really am enjoying this show very much. We've got an engine change going on a Porsche 924 here. Look, they have a hoist. And the good news is, so do I. I now have an engine hoist. That should make life easier with the Fox. This is beautiful. If a bit mucky. But that is a Morris Marina estate. Hopefully there will be some marina action coming soon to a Hubnut channel near you. Volvo 480 there. Looks like it's undergoing some paintwork by the look of it, or maybe some rust protection. 480, quite a funky hatchback. Very, very 1980s styling. I mean, that's one from about 93. And we just have a quick look at the Volvo 240 because we've got excellent headlamp wipers. Look, they're enormous. They're almost the size of 2CV windscreen wipers. And they actually go off the top of the headlamp, so you can see them popping about. Here is another 480. Look at that funky front end. I mean, very distinctive, very unusual, built in the Netherlands. That's a very early Volvo P1800. The earliest ones were made by Jensen in West Bromwich. Volvo 340, 360 GLT. This is the top of the range. Nice headlamp wipers going on there as well. They didn't change the wipers for right-hand drive initially. We had to wait for the facelift for that to happen. Ooh, an earlier Rover 200, the SD3 version. I remember spending quite a lot of my childhood in one of those, but that was only a 216S, and that's an SE, so that wins. Love the fact that Lancaster Insurance is playing Highway to Hell as I walk along here. I personally think Morris Minors are all right. That is a very early van. Split screen van, wow. Complete with the trafficators. So normally they'll be mounted in a bit, but they have to stick out to clear the rear body. That is very nice indeed. Whoa. Right, Land Crab, the Wolseley version. Next to a Wolseley 680, once popular as police cars, and a little Wolseley Hornet. It's a Mini with a bustle boot. Very funky. Right, we need to get around this show because time is running out, and I've seen so little. I've seen half of one hall. That's not very good. Oh, Practical Classics Restorer of the Year. I'm liking the 240Z, especially as it's still on the plastic wheel trims. That's nice. And Jerry Lloyd's magnificent Rover 75 Coupe that he built using a BMW 4 Series roof. I have done a photo shoot on that car for MG Enthusiast magazine some years ago, and also drove his double-ended 75, which is truly marvellous. Ford Capris, people will be upset if I don't look at Ford Capris, so there are some Ford Capris. Go and see what's going on around here. This is a standard that was put in for a scrappage scheme. Practical Classics did a lot of sterling work to save the poor thing. It was terrible. I mean, I know they've mocked that up, but still, it was traded in, and Practical Classics did the good work of saving it as a Mazda MX-5 BBR Turbo. The Le Mans edition, they only made 24 of those. There's Sam Glover with his fantastic hair, and Mr. Ed Hughes. Good morning. And we've got Capris, as mentioned. I mean, I quite like Capris. They're simple, they're fun. Oh, here is a Triumph Toledo. So let's go back thinking about that 1300, just to look at the different rear lights. So whereas the 1300 was front wheel drive, this is rear wheel drive. This was meant to replace the Triumph Herald. Got an Austin A90 Atlantic, mid rebuild here. Gorgeous, gorgeous colour. Absolutely marvellous. There used to be one in that colour in the Birmingham Science Museum when I was a child. Fantastic looking car, a complete disaster because with a 4-cylinder engine, America wasn't interested. It was called the Atlantic specifically because America was meant to buy loads of them. Austin A30 and 35s, lovely little cars. Side valve Fords. No, I don't hate all Fords. I quite like these. I mean, look at that. That looks like an original Escort. So the first use of the Escort was on an estate version of the side valve van. And that one's fantastic. Please do not restore. This is obviously the Ford zone. Fords everywhere. And also toilets. Many probes. Let's go and look at probes. It's possibly the most unfortunate name for a car ever. But that one's got the US rear lights because the probe was an American design, but using Mazda MX-6 mechanicals. And not an attractive car. I mean, I quite like the floating roof design. I could see me in one of those, but again, I fear I've missed the boat rather, because I'm just too slow. But yeah, V6 engine, 2.5 litre, very, very nice. Another Ford Capri, nice louvered rear window going on. I've just noticed that the Granada is actually a Piranha, so it's got a V8 engine in it, which makes life extra exciting. Interesting number plate as well. There we go, Piranha. Look up the Granada Piranhas because they're fun. We've got Ford Transit van with the front end that looks like a Land Rover Discovery. I believe that is out of Ford's own heritage collection. A Smart One. These had V4 engines as well to start with. That's a nice selection going on. I could do with finding some Vauxhalls though. Oh, look, nice Granada Mark II limo there. Another hugely overvalued Mark I Escort. This is what I love about this show. It's cars in imperfect condition. What it is all about. Oh, MG Car Club have got a ZS, and you'd be interested to note that my old Rover 45 V6 is actually in the car park. It's providing support for the Fiat Motor Club, which I find quite amusing. This is the original Capri, the Consul Capri. Very, very unusual car. The styling really was not a hit. And oh, what's going on here? That's unusual. At some point that was a Ford Y-Type and it's been turned into a little Tuck rival. Amusing. Oh wow, how did they get this in here? Talk about dustpan and brush. I see they didn't bother with carpet under that one, and frankly, who can blame them? That is, yeah, I don't think that one's coming back, but nonetheless, it survives, sort of. Oh gosh, I've been recording for ages. Oh, should we go and look at beach buggies? Buggies? Oh, sorry, I went all northern then, buggies. Let's go and look at beach buggies because they are funky things. I've always enjoyed these. They're kind of the very best of the 1970s, aren't they, really? Look at that, proper metal flake going on as well. Crikey. And oh, we appear to have got into the land of Americana, and I think the most hubnut car here is probably the Pontiac Fiero, mid-engined, and yeah, not massively successful, and too many have been dressed up as Ferrari F40s, but yeah, that's a big American car, and that's about the extent of my knowledge. Not very good. Oh, but I'd say that's probably a Hudson. Am I right? I am right. It is a Hudson. Hudson's always had very low styling. They were kind of the first to do this really rounded, really low style in the early 50s. Wonderful. Ford Corsairs. No, I definitely like Ford Corsairs. I mean, they're alright, aren't they? And look, we've got an estate. That's really rare. Oh, and another estate. Maybe they're not that rare. And a convertible. They're quite rare. Oh, there's another convertible. Maybe they're not that rare. Ah, I see another car that has been to a hubnut meet. It's the Nissan Primera that was there before. Hello! Right. Are you well?
Yes, thank you.
Good. Undergoing a bit of titivation there. Another hubnut sticker spotted. Excellent. Oh yes, it's a Wartburg 353 estate that someone's fitted sporty clear indicator lenses to. Incidentally, if you think cars where they have extra lights are a new thing, they're not. Because the lights are on the tailgate, when you open it up, there's an extra pair of tail lights. How's that for an interesting fact? Should we have a look at the front of the mighty Wartburg as well? We very nearly decided to buy one of those and bring it back from Romania. I think to a certain extent I still wish I had, but there we go. Triumph TR8 Grinnell. Very, very period correct body kit, slightly ridiculous. Right, let's go and see if we can find some Vauxhalls. So this is the FE Victor. It's the last of the Victor line. There's Danny Hopkins of Practical Classics fame. And the VX490 was the sports version of the Victor FE. I mean, to be honest, and I'm going to risk getting in trouble here. Oh, another announcement. Yeah, they're not my favourite of the Vauxhalls, I must admit. But yeah, there's a good examination of what they're like under the skin. Rusty. Some work to be done there. Well, that's a Ventura. That's the 6-cylinder version. Look at the size of that engine. Big old lump. And yes, as I suspected, we have found ourselves another hubnut sticker. I think we're up to 3 now. That's not bad going, is it? And plus another car that was actually at the Hubnut Social. So there you go. HC Vivas. Again, not my favourite of the Vivas. I prefer the HAs, and the vans remained in HA form even when they updated the saloon cars. Although this one is a bit silly. A fine reminder of the custom car scene. Over on this side, we've got more Vauxhalls. What have we got there? Mark 1 Astra. Undergoing a certain amount of work. An Omega Elite. I've owned an Omega Elite. Mine was the turbo diesel. I didn't like it. See, it's not just Fords. I don't like some Vauxhalls. I love Opel Mantas though, although I prefer the earlier ones that had headlamp wipers. Little Vauxhall Nova, complete with full-length roof. That's quite unusual. Mark 4 Astra. Makes you feel quite old, doesn't it, when stuff like that's in here. And a very, very minty Calibra. And Vauxhall Cavalier GSI 3000 wins headlamp wiper points. So there we go. That's the. I remember these coming out, the 1988 Cavalier, and yeah, moved the game on remarkably. And there's a Mark 1 Cavalier by comparison, and over here the Mark 2 in SRI form. Now I did like these, but I had more exposure to these when I was a child. A relative had them, and yeah, I like the period backflash, the speakers on the back. It's got a tail blazer. Tail blazer was designed to fit here, but then you got nowhere for the number plate to fit, so you'd put the number plate where the tow bar is and it'd look really awful. It's a style I never fully understood. We have our friends on the Reliant Owners Club stand have got a fine display going on. Maybe I should get some tips for how to get the Fox going, but there's the engine on a three-wheeler. You see it's rather buried, but it's a lot easier to fit the engine from underneath on a three-wheeler than it is on a four-wheeler. And here is a Reliant Kitten, very similar chassis to the Fox. Sorry, my brain is starting to struggle already. We've got Bond bugs here in various forms. Look at that, there's good canopy demonstration going on. That's how you get in, and this is the chassis underneath. So all the Reliant three-wheelers have this strong bar, so a bit more crash protection than you might actually expect. But it's basically a Reliant Regal chassis in those. And yeah, we've got a nice Rialto here. I quite like the Rialtos, but I prefer the Mark 1 Robins, if I'm entirely honest. So here we go. I have no need to join. I'm already a member. Hurrah! A Jubilee Rialto being restored. So it's the good people of the Reliant Owners Club. Over here we've got the Scimitar and Sabre Owners Club, and of which I used to be a member because I used to have a Scimitar. That's a Sabre 6. Very, very rare. I think they made 77 of those, which means we'll probably find another 20 around the show. Go and have a look over here as well. So that's a Scimitar SE5A, and that's exactly what I had. I didn't have chromed slot mags, but I did have slot mags, and a really fantastic car in many ways, but it just reminded me I don't like sports cars. Carroll Nash always have a barn find stand, so let's go and have a nose around that. Nice rusty Mini there, that's looking suitably crusty. And a Bonda Keep GT4S. I bought one of these in that sort of condition. It was terrible. But this one, it looks like it's being restored, perhaps. It's based on Triumph Herald running gear. And even the doors, the scuttle, are all pure Triumph Herald. But I saved mine from the scrappage scheme, and there were times I wish I hadn't. But yeah, maybe that one's a bit healthier. Lovely Fiat X19 there. Whoa, what is that? Now the body of that looks like a Peerless, which were based on Triumph running gear. But that's yeah, that's a Macari Peerless. So someone obviously decided the Peerless wasn't radical enough. Decided to give it some wahey, and even a rear wiper. You'll notice Darren Rungazami there, trying to hide behind the Batwing BMW, taking photos. A good friend and contributor on Retro Japanese magazine. Renault 8, very, very nice. Jaguar 420, very rare. Oh, it's the Daimler version, Daimler Sovereign. Still hints of Mark II in the structure of the 420 and Sovereign. Is a very, very lovable Vauxhall, the Victor. Steierpuck Haflinger. And if we go and have a look in the engine bay, it will all look very familiar to anyone who's watched my Invacar videos, because it is to all intents and purposes the same engine, but in 650 form. So if I fitted one of those to the Invacar, it'd be even more dangerous. Another Austin Atlantic. Oh, look at that. Love the Haffies, they'll go pretty much anywhere. Gonna have live music in the barn. NSU R080, the Vankel rotary engine. A complete commercial disaster, but a wonderful, wonderful car. Very advanced for the day, disc brakes, the sort of modern free-box styling. This looks like an Opel of some sort. Opel Record. Yeah, Record C. Don't you find it isn't so much the headlamps, it's the wipers. If a car hasn't got wipers, it just doesn't look alive. Bedford CA pickup. Marvellous. I'm going to assume their songs will have lyrics later on. But I think that is going to do for our day one walk around. We've seen a good amount of the show. I'll come back to the Batwing again. Incidentally, this was a dealer kit, homologation special for racing, but they had to sell the cars with the spoilers. So they weren't actually fitted, but you could have them fitted if you wished. They just had to go with the car so they could use the spoilers in racing. Very, very clever. So here we go, a Bedford Chevan. The estate, well, based on the Chevette estate, but obviously with the panels all bashed in. But the interesting thing is the rear wiper. There is a serious amount of engineering in the rear wiper on a Chevan, which takes the blade and flips it all the way around so it's flat on the other side of the windscreen as well. I mean, sadly, you have to have your batteries disconnected, but seeing one of those in action is a sight worth seeing. But yeah, as you can see, it's a very clean example in superb condition. So there you go, that is probably our prime wiper spot of the show. Right, well, done my stint meeting people on the Lancaster stand. Thanks to everyone who came along to say hello. I've left my gimbal in the press office because the battery's flat. But thanks yet again to the Reliant Owners Club, because they've just bought me more toys. I've now got 2 different clutch plates in here, or clutch covers, sorry, for the Reliant Fox project. So that should enable me to get the clutch in. These are different styles to the Borg and Beck clutch that's in there, but we'll work with a clutch plate and that thrust bearing. And that means I should then be able to get the engine and gearbox in. Will I manage it next week? That's the week you're actually watching this. We shall wait and see. Now, I need to find lunch. I'm back at the Saab Owners Club of Great Britain Limited stand. I made a great error earlier. I should know, I actually know the car, but it's not the V4, it is the 2-stroke triple cylinder. In the Sonett, it actually has the radiator in front of the engine. In the Saab 96 and 95, I think it was behind, because it was very much inspired by DKW of Germany. But apparently it ran earlier, which caused a lot of blue smoke and a lot of excitement. But over here on the Lancaster Insurance stand, we've got Art By Bex, and she's painting this merry scene of Mazda MX-5 and MGB, and look forward to seeing how this painting carries on through the weekend. How's it going?
4 or 3 days.
Yeah, well.
So what do you think?
It's looking good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like the MX-5, even though the colour doesn't match, but it's fine.
Yeah, you like the MGB too?
Yeah, that's coming along. Excellent.
Fill the head. Figure out who's going to go there.
Oh. If you do some nice long hair, it'll be me. Yeah.
Nice curls there.
Oh, it'll be lovely. Yeah, brilliant. Right, I'm going to do another stint on the Lancaster Insurance stand. So, we could win a prize, and we are going to play your cards. I'll play your cars right. So we've got lots of cars here, and we've got to choose whether the next one is higher or lower than the previous in terms of age. So, shall we get the show underway? Where are we starting? Oh, pure hubnut. We are starting with the 1976 Allegro. Right, so I've got to go higher or lower. Higher is so 80s would be higher.
So 85 is the highest.
Yep.
And 70 is the lowest.
Right. Okay.
You are in the middle. Around.
Ooh, tricky. And nothing for repair. Not in this game.
In this game.
Right. I'm going to go higher.
Higher. And how many points do you want to bet?
I've got 200, haven't I?
200 exactly.
All of them.
All of them. All of them high.
All out. Hey, Fiat X19 to the rescue. So
400
I'm now on 400 points. Let's gamble another 200 on lower. Oh, middling again though with the old Chevette HSR. Very nice. Where do you reckon I should go, people?
600 now.
Yeah, 600. Let's do 300 on higher. Gambling. Oh, success. Golf GTI. Right.
So you're now on 900.
900 points. I'm doing well here, but not as well as some. There is some way to go with my 900 points, but at least I'm not a big fat zero yet. 900, let's bet 600 on lower.
600.
Oh, bang. There we go. I have failed. The Porsche 944 has let me down.
But you're still in the game.
I'm still in the game.
You've got 300 points left.
Okay.
Now that is the highest card.
Okay, well, it's got to be all the points on lower then, really, hasn't it? Mazda Rx-7, very nice. Bit of Wankel rotary. But that's a bit middling. That's a difficult call. See what we've got so far and try and work out what might be left. I have no idea what other cars are here, but we've only got 2 from the 70s so far. What's the lowest?
70.
70 is the lowest. How many points?
600 points.
600. Let's do 300 on lower.
300 on the lower, 78.
Oh, Mini, 79. 79 with that windscreen. So, how many points have I got left now?
300.
I've just lost another few points. Right. 200 higher.
200 higher.
Higher than the 79. Hey, Escort to the rescue. Is that an RS 1600? See, I do like Fords. They help me out. I just can't remember how many numbers I've got.
You're on 500 points now.
500. Let's do 400 points lower. Ah, there we go. Right at the bottom. Morris Minor. I'm sorry, that's not a 1970 with those windscreen wipers. That's a Morris Minor Million. I think they were only made in 1962. But there you go. All the remaining points on higher, I think.
I don't remember how many you're on, but
74. More Morris action. Tasty Morris Marina. We will have a video on a Marina coming soon. It will be a very special video. And that's where we're going to have to end part 1, because there is so much footage. I'm going to need a part 2. There's still so much to come, so much to see at the show. There is a most remarkable Jaguar special. There is Pete C and Project Bramble. There is a Rover SD1 diesel, and we've got a Renault 10 and all sorts. There is a lot more to come. Yeah, stay tuned for Project 2. Don't forget to subscribe before you go. Don't forget to hit the bell next to subscribe. When you hit subscribe, there'll be a little bell appear. Hit the bell, you get a notification, then you'll know when part 2 is live. In the meantime, there will be no Pichu, because there will be a part 2. Just need to keep on editing.